Students, welcome to our today's class where we are going to discuss about the weighted index numbers. In our previous lesson, we talked about the simple index numbers and how they are calculated, but a quick reminder, I said that simple index numbers are those index numbers that are calculated from a single commodity, whereby you have one commodity and its price over a number of years. And then we are supposed to calculate the index number for each and every year. In our discussion, we talked about the fixed base method and the chain-based method of calculating simple index numbers and how it is applied. In our today's lesson, our focus will be on the weighted index numbers, whereby we are going to discuss about how to calculate the index numbers when you are given more than one commodity. When you are given more than one commodity, simple index number methods cannot be applicable, and we need to use the weighted methods, whereby we need to calculate the weights for each and every commodity over the years. So in this case, we are going to be given 2 years. 1 year is referred as the base year, and the other year is referred as the current year. So the current year is actually going to be recent compared to the base year. Let's see how it is done. So we have an illustration here that is actually on your notes, and I want to demonstrate here on how it was actually calculated. You are given a business ready who is operating a cereal shop in which he sells the rice, wheat, and maize. Those are the cereals he sells. Then you have been given the year 2011, the price for those commodities, and the quantity that is being demanded in that particular year for each and every item. Like, for example, in 2011, the rice was being sold at 20 shillings and the quantity demanded was 80 kgs. The wheat was being sold at 12 shillings and the quantity that was demanded was 90. Maize was selling at 5 shillings and the quantity that was sold in that particular year was 150. Then you are given the prices for 2012 for the same commodities. Like, for example, rice, in 2012, it was selling at 25 and the quantity that was demanded is 100. Wheat, the price was 18, quantity demanded was 120. Maize, the price was 10 and the quantity demanded was 180. Using these, you are be told to calculate the weighted index numbers using the four methods. The four methods that we normally use to calculate the weighted index numbers, we have got the last pairs method, the Pasteur method, Fisher's ideal, and the Marshall-Edgeworth. Those formulas are given in your notes, but here now, how do we apply them in calculating the index numbers? So, like for example, if we have the method like the last pairs, which is calculated by the summation of P1 QO over the summation of PO QO times 100. Therefore, we need to get these values so that we can apply. I want you to note this. When we are talking about the current year, because 2011 and 2012 are the years of comparison, 2012 will be our current year and 2011 is going to be our base year. The price for 2011 is referred as PO and the quantity for 2011 is referred as QO. So the base, it is actually referred as QO. Whereas the price for 2012, which is the current year, is going to be denoted by P1 and this one is going to be denoted by Q1 like that. So therefore, when we are talking about P1 QO, we simply mean the P1, which is the price for 2012, times QO, which is the quantity for 2011. Remember, QO is here. So we multiply these two, P1 times QO, and you are going to find that this one is going to give us what? 25 times 80, you find it is going to be giving you how much? Let us actually multiply P1 times QO which is 25 times QO times 80, which is giving you 2000. So that is for rice, the P1 times the QO. When we go to the wheat, the P1 is 18 times 90. You find it's going to give you 1620. And for maize, P1 is 10 times 150, which will give you 1500. So if you do the summation, if you add the column here, what we are going to have is going to be 5120. Then we are supposed to calculate the PO times QO. The PO times QO. The PO times QO is actually this one, PO times QO, whereby PO is this one, QO is this one. So we multiply these two. So we are going to find that this one is going to be 1600. This times this is going to be 1080. This and this is going to be 750. If you add all these so that you can get the summation, we are going to get it is going to be 3430. Then we have got P1, Q1. P1, Q1, we multiply these two columns down the table. So we are going to have 2500. Then we have 2160. Then we have 1800. If you add, you get that the total is going to be 6460. Then we need to have PO times Q1. Remember, PO is here, our Q1 is here. If you multiply them, you get it is going to be 2000. If you multiply this times this, is going to be 1440. If you multiply this times this, it is going to give you 900. The summation now is going to give you 4340. And the moment you have got these values, then you are good to go in terms of calculating those index numbers. So basically, you need to note that P1, Q1, the sum of all these values is this. The sum of PO, QO is this. The sum of P1, Q1 is this. And the sum of PO and QO is this. So you need to come here. For example, for the past year, we have P1, QO, which is 5120 over POQO, which is 3430 times 100, which will give you 149.27%. You can go ahead and confirm that. Then we can go to the next method for calculating the weighted, which is the pasture, which is actually the pasture, normally denoted by P, which is given by the summation of P1 Q1 over the summation of PO Q1, then we multiply by 100%. If you refer to our values that we have here, the summation of P1 Q1, which is 6460, divided by the summation of PO Q1, which is here, the summation is 4340. You divide the two values and you multiply by 100%, then you are going to get this. The summation of P1 Q1, which is 6460, over the summation of PO Q1, which is 4340, then you multiply by 100%, you will find that is going to give you 148.85%. After getting that, we can get now the Fisher's ideal price index, which is given by the square root of the last payer's price index times the past year price index, and we multiply the two and actually get the square root. In this case, you find that the answer for last payers was 149.27 times the answer for past year, which is 148.85. Then we take the square root of the product of the two, and you realize it's going to give you 149.06%. For the Marshall Edgeworth, you need to calculate it by getting this, the summation of P1QO plus the summation of P1Q1 over the summation of POQO plus the summation of POQ1, then we multiply by 100%. You realize these values are all obtained. So if you get them from the table, you realize that they are going to be 5120, which is the summation for this, plus 64, 60, 64, 60 over 3430 plus 4340 times 100%, which gives us 149.03%. And this is the answer. One thing I want you to notice this: the moment you have calculated the past share price index,